Welcome to the Awakening Women Show. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten, a former counselor with a background in counseling psychology. I'm a mentor for high-achieving, ambitious women with over 13 years in the mental health and empowerment space. I've guided hundreds of women and have influenced over 100,000 through my platforms, podcast, and other courses, programs, and mentorship. I'm also the creator of the Relationship Clarity program, formerly known as End the Cycle, which you will hear me mention a lot of times as we go through the episodes. This program is to help women break free from destructive relationship cycles and come to clarity and power about their next step. This show is for the woman who knows her relationship struggles go deeper than the usual conflict. You know there's something more going on, but you can't quite nail it down or pinpoint what that is. You'll find clarity here, empowerment, truth, and validation. Clarity on whether your relationship can be healed or whether it's time to reclaim your life and move forward. What started as me sharing my own experiences quickly became a movement because the truth is, so many ambitious, successful women are stuck in confusing and draining relationship dynamics while trying to rise in every other area of their life, career, motherhood. This is you, you're not alone, and you don't have to keep living this way. Inside this podcast, you'll hear some of my most downloaded episodes, plus fresh content designed to help you break patterns, reclaim your wholeness, and decide once and for all if this relationship is where you belong. I'm so glad you found this space. Let's dive in. Welcome to this edition of the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten, and in this episode, we're talking about sex. I want to add before we dive into that episode, some commentary, some notes around sexuality and women's sexuality. I think this is a really big topic, and we think that it's taboo. We don't talk about it. We don't have anywhere to talk about it. And our sexuality is a very personal thing, and it is impacted by many factors. And how comfortable we feel with our own body and with partners is very intricately connected to the emotional safety and emotional connection that we feel with a partner most times for most women. And women are very much, oftentimes, there are different women obviously, but for the most part, women are turned on, feel sexual through emotional connection. They're not we're not instantly just like ready to go like men are typically. And depending on the level of emotional connection that we feel with our partners will determine a lot of times the level of desire that we have. So this is why you will notice if you have had conflicts or there's been hurts that have been swept away or things that have happened that have stuck in your mind or things that are building up or things that are really turning you off toward your partner with things that he's doing, ways that he's showing up or not showing up. This builds up over time to where you start feeling a complete turn off toward them. And in the extreme, if you have an emotionally disconnected and emotionally invalidating partner who is not interested in hearing what you have to say, is not respectful of you or your body or your wishes, is not emotionally attuned to you in any way or doesn't even try to be, they are shifting blame onto you, minimizing the impact of what it is that they're doing, and they're not actively doing anything to change it to be a better partner, then we have these extremes where women have their nervous system has caused their body to shut down, and then there is no response. And I have worked with women who have said things like, I thought maybe I was asexual, I thought maybe I just didn't have a sex drive, I thought maybe I was gay, maybe that I just don't like sex. But what has happened is that their body has shut down because their emotional aspect of who they are has not been nurtured or been able to flourish, we'll say, within the dynamics of her relationship. So what's interesting is there's a lot of talk about midlife women and how, we really need to be on hormonal support, which I am a believer in that. But hormonal support is not going to fix a relational issue. If there's a lack of emotional safety and emotional attunement within the relationship, and there are hurts that are pushed down, brushed aside, you just kind of move on and try to forgive and forget and try to sweep things under the rug, or it feels like that's what's happening in your relationship constantly. So things build up. That's just one part, the emotional part. Then there's obviously like the physical attraction and how we take care of our bodies and how our partners take care of their bodies if we feel attracted to them. But attraction has a lot to do with emotional, intimate connection for women especially. And so this is a really important conversation, and I'm going to play an episode on the dynamic of when you don't want to have sex with your particular partner. And there can come a point where there are boundaries that are violated in a relationship when it comes to sexuality and physical intimacy. And sadly, I've worked with many, many women who are in a lot of pain around this aspect in their relationship because they think there's something wrong with them. And it's framed as if there's something wrong with them because they're the one that is not wanting to engage physically with a partner for whatever the reasoning might be. Like I said, there's many reasoning. But when I hear a woman saying, I don't have a sexual drive for my partner, or you see the stuff online right now that's talking about the importance of us midlife women having adequate levels of estrogen and all that, that will help if you are in a good relationship. It's not going to fix something that is emotionally and spiritually rooted. So that's a really important thing. If you're in that age frame and you think that maybe it's your hormones, check your relationship first, because that is the cornerstone. Whereas if that's not strong and solid, then nothing you do externally is going to have a lot of effect. So I'm going to play that episode for you right now, and to help you see if there might be something deeper going on within your relational dynamic. Because I really believe that if a woman is not turned on and at least open to being turned on in a relationship where she can't get there, or she's just maybe needs some relaxation or warming up, or we need more like a runway time, women do, that there's usually something deeper going on. And so that's what I want you to assess when you're listening to this episode, is if there's something deeper going on where there's boundary violations, guilt tripping, coercive behavior around this. Because unfortunately, I've worked with women who have dealt with that on the extreme level, and it is very harmful, very, very unhealthy to live in that. And I want you to self-assess whether you're experiencing something on the more extreme end or if it's something else. So let's play that episode now. Just read some of the answers when I asked the question inside the Awakening Women Support Empowerment community on Facebook. Do you have below zero sex drive, and the idea of being touched or having sex with your partner makes your skin crawl? That was the question, because that was some of the languaging I was hearing from women, that feeling forced to hug and be physically intimate, and feeling like they were having to force themselves to hug their partner because their partner was hugging them. Even though it felt wrong to them, they were doing it anyways to keep the peace, or because they felt guilty because they believed, quote unquote, they should do that as their partner's wife. So I'm going to share some of the answers to that, and then I'm going to go into why forcing it and making yourself do this when it goes against your inner being's inner voice is absolutely wrong, and then some tips for how to proceed. So here are some of the responses. I feel repulsed because he continues to hurt me, then expects me to forget that it ever happened. Makes me feel worthless. If someone is consistently making you feel like you're not good enough, there's always something wrong with you, you can't do anything right, why in the hell would you want to share space or intimacy with them? Exactly. Yes, when I'm hurt all the time, how on earth could I feel comfortable being touched by my spouse? Even cuddling or hugging is uncomfortable to me at this point. My spouse has told me that I'm either withholding sex to get what I want, which is abusive. It's what she's being told. It would be if this is the case, or that I must be asexual. It's a re-traumatization. There is no pretending he is being sincerely affectionate. Not only am I hyper aware that I'm being used, if I allow him to touch me, I feel the self-betrayal. The thing that I'm trying to heal, I wonder sometimes if there's anything he could do to make this up to me, to make me feel loved by him, to restore the trust. I have no ideas, and I realize it would need to come from him. Him working overtime to reestablish trust and show me he cares. And my heart sinks more because I realize he probably can't do it, or at least has shown zero effort this far. When we touch, I feel I'm allowing myself to be manipulated. It is so ugly that someone would put me in that position and I allow it. The damage that this has done. With my first husband, I couldn't stand to be in the same bed and started sleeping in another room. With my current husband, we are not at this point. One of the reasons I'm here is trying to figure out if I'm still traumatized from the first relationship. For the last couple years, I told him I needed kindness and respect to be intimate with you. All I heard was, "You got it. All I need from you is sex once a week and you'll have it made." And so I did, and as you can guess, I got nothing in return. In this last year, I put a security camera in our house, and on the third day, I heard an 11-minute phone call about what he did with some stranger. Did we have sex after these events? At some point after he said I was crazy and snuck into my room after I was asleep. I cried the whole time it happened. I will never let myself down like this again. I look back and think, why did you let this happen? Why? No more. I deserve to be loved and nurtured and truly cared for. I think what I want for my children, and that's what we should all want for ourselves, which is love. So there are a few comments there on some of what was shared, but the consensus was, over and above that, was thank you so much for talking about this topic, because so many women are in this place of wondering if there's something wrong with their sexuality because they don't want to have sex, they don't want to be touched by their partner because their partner is abusing them. Why would you want to? If you're with someone who is treating you poorly, is gaslighting you, not listening, doesn't care about what you have to say, is blaming you for all the problems, is emotionally distant, doesn't really want to put any effort into, making the relationship a priority, or you a priority, or building emotional safety, he's abusing you. And when you give yourself in that way, because that is the one thing you should have all control over, is your body. Your body is sacred. It is yours. It is not his. Just because you're married and in a relationship with him doesn't make you his property. Doesn't make your body, your breasts, your butt, your vagina, anything his property. You are not obligated to give yourself in those ways. So that's the first thing. And when you betray yourself in that way, it is a form of self-abuse. You are not advocating for yourself. It would be like if you have a teen daughter, would you want her to feel like she has to force herself to give of herself physically and sexually to someone that she doesn't feel safe with, or someone that's mistreating her? What would you tell her? And that might be hard to really look at. So the first thing is that it is an act of self-betrayal to give your body in that way, to give the gift of your body, because sex is sacred, so is your body, to allow someone to come into your energetic space and penetrate you is a massive boundary thing, right? It's like you're allowing someone to come that close to you and inside of you. So that person needs to be clean and clear, right? Like there's no abuse going on. And, the thing that can happen, and I know this from my own personal experience, is that can become the reason why your partner is never happy because, you're not really acting like a wife. We don't even have sex. We live like roommates. And so then you start to feel like, I must be doing something wrong. So maybe that's why he's treating me so badly, because he's not getting those fundamental needs that men have met, which you will hear about over and over. If you read anything online, it will say that men have that need, oftentimes more than women. Men do it to feel close. emotionally. Well, maybe not. If they're narcissistic, it's more just to get their own needs met, to get their own narcissistic supply and take your energy. But in a healthier relationship, men feel more connected to you through sex, and women need to feel emotionally connected to go there. So we have those opposite needs in a sense. But in a narcissistic or emotionally abusive relationship, none of that is present. There is no emotion and sacredness or spirituality in the act. It's just going through the motions. So if you have a partner that tries to make you allow him to make you feel guilty because you have physical boundaries where you say, you are emotionally abusing me. It is having a massive effect on me. And so therefore I will not be engaging in anything physical with you as long as this stuff is going on. And that might mean you go into a different bedroom, figure out some different sleeping arrangements, or if that's not possible, it's just a physical boundary of, this is what I'm doing for me. These are the things that I need you to do. And this isn't about holding it over your head and trying to control things or trying to give you ultimatums or dangling the carrot or anything like that. It's none of that. It's not manipulation. It's about, I need to honor me now because I see where I have been dishonoring me and betraying myself in this. And that is the worst form of self-betrayal of all, is to give your body when you don't want to someone who is treating you like shit every day. So the boundary needs to be drawn, okay? The other thing you need to remember is that sex is not just physical. We think of it's just physical, but it's not. It's emotional, it's spiritual, and it's energetic. We take on the energy of the person we are intimate with. So remember that. So if you are allowing somebody who is abusing you to use your body for their own gain, that is self-abuse. So I think I've clarified that enough to know that it's not you. He needs to do the work to build emotional safety if he wants to continue in a relationship with you in that way. And of course, I'm just saying this based on you are in this place where you're like, I have no desire. I don't want to. I force myself to do it just to keep the peace, or because I feel guilty or whatever. I feel pressured, but I can't do that anymore. So I'm talking to you that you draw a line in the sand and you set that boundary. You get some support for yourself, because likely if he's narcissistic, he's going to turn up the heat around that, and you may end up getting some backlash from setting that strong of a boundary. But this is what is required. He might start to kick sand and have a flip out. He might even engage in some kind of infidelity because of that, because he can't handle his own emotions. He can't look at it and go, okay, there's something going on here that I am the culprit of. She is distancing from me because she doesn't feel safe with me. She doesn't want to have sex with me because I'm abusing her. Well, shit, I better do something here because I don't want to lose this woman. Instead, they might just become more abusive or go find supply somewhere else. But that is not up to you. Okay, that is not in your control. So if you are engaging in sex and giving yourself in that way just as a way to control him, or hopefully control the situation or keep it under control, then again, that's something for you to look at and go, okay, so this has to be about me now, where I'm putting me first and he's going to do whatever he's going to do. If he wants to work on things and build the trust there, then that's fine. But for this time frame, I'm just keeping to my own energy. I'm taking space, and I am not engaging physically as long as this stuff is going on. And so you have to be mindful, of course, of the cycle, because this might perpetuate some of the hoovering, some of the honeymoon stuff, some of the love bombing, and the stuff that maybe got you hooked in the past back into the relationship, where you think he's maybe changing or takes you out on a date or starts buying you things and wooing you and all that, only to get you hooked right back in again for everything else to just start back up again. So you have to be aware of that. You need to be aware of the cycle, the tactics, and very much self-aware of your own inner state and what you're feeling. Whew, it's a big topic. And I just felt like I really needed to touch on it because there are many women suffering silently behind closed doors, thinking there's just something wrong with their sexuality because that's what they're being told. They're being told things like, you need to heal your past. This is about your past. Maybe you have sexual abuse in your past and your partner is putting that in your face, saying that that's the issue. You need to deal with your own issues. That the issues that you have sexually are not his problem. They're up to you to fix. That there's something wrong with you sexually. That you're cold. So those are things you're being told, and you take that in and go, okay, it's me. It's another thing that I'm doing that's all my fault, without actually looking at, well, actually, this is a pretty normal response to not want to be physical with somebody in the most sacred way when they're abusing me. And I feel hurt and angry. Why would you want to? Okay, because sex is just a natural extension to feeling close and connected with someone. It's like the next step because you already feel so close and connected with them that that's just the natural thing that happens as a side effect. There's so much more going on in the relationship than just that. Not that a relationship is ever perfect, but there should be no abuse taking place. And there should be mutual respect and the ability to listen to one another and give a crap about how the other one feels. And if none of that basic, as I say, basic shit is happening, then why would you want to have sex? And if you're forcing yourself, then that is, like I said, self-abuse. So I want you to remember that. So here are 3 things you can do if this is you. Number 1, decide what are the physical limits you're going to set. Is it you're going to let him know for this period of time, I will not be engaging sexually. I'm going to work on my own self-healing. I'm not feeling safe with you. I'm not feeling emotionally connected with you. And I will no longer betray myself in that way, giving in just to placate you and keep you happy. I won't do it anymore. So here's what we're doing. And then you need to decide, is it you'll stay in the same bed, but you just aren't going to be physical? What does that look like? How will you enforce that? Will you move into a spare bedroom? Figure out a place where you can have your own space for a time frame. What are the things that need to happen in order for you to even consider going back into a relationship on a physical level? And this is a process. These are ideas. Every relationship is different and where you're at is different. But this is just some guidelines, okay? Because for me to be able to give you direct advice, I'd need to know in depth what's really going on, the level of abuse that is taking place, the level of narcissism that's at play, how you're managing, how you're coping, your emotional health. All of those things are taken into consideration when I am offering a strategy or plan for a client. So I'm just giving you some things, preliminary things, little steps you can look at. Now, the first one may not be a little step. You may need some support with that if it's a really sticky issue. And if that's the case, consider booking a 1-day mini intensive with me. That is where we will dive deep into exactly what's going on, and you will get my specific support and guidance and something you can take and implement into the relationship. I'll leave the link for that in the show notes. The second thing is to give yourself that space. And you have to work through your own feelings of feeling guilty, feeling like there's something wrong with you, allowing him to take shots at you because of it, or allowing him to make you feel badly in some way. Because you're now putting you first and you're saying, you know what? I'm not doing that anymore. I love me more. And, what you need sexually is not my problem because you're not meeting my needs on any other level. I'm not going there. And it's not a power play. You have to check yourself that it's not coming from wanting to emotionally manipulate someone else. It doesn't come from that energy. It comes from, I'm putting me first now. The line in the sand is drawn. Let the chips fall where they may. Let him react how he's going to react. But it's about you now and doing what's right for you. And then the third step is focusing on you. Getting the support you need. Again, booking a session if you'd like, making sure that you are surrounded by healthy mentors. Are you in the Awakening Women Support Facebook group? It's our free community. There's 140 some odd women in there now that on some level get what you're going through. Obviously, we're all in different situations with different scenarios, but there are women in there that are grappling with the same issues. That's one thing you can do. So focusing on you means focusing on your internal patterns, the stuff within you that has perpetuated the patterns and the ongoing cycle within the relationship, taking care of your side of the street, which is your emotions, your feelings, your psychology, your health, your wellness, your self-care, putting you first, looking at where you're enabling the negative patterns, where you're making them okay, where you're making it okay for him to be abusive to you. That takes work. Now, of course, in one day intensive, we can't go into all of that. The intensive is for you to just get some immediate help and relief and support, like instantaneously kind of thing, and take it and run with it. My more in-depth programs offer that deep level of healing over a 3-month term. All right, so that is what I wanted to share on this episode. I hope it has been helpful, as again, this might be a very triggering episode for you. Maybe you're feeling triggered, or it's brought up some emotions for you, some anger, some grief, some sadness that you have been engaging against your inner being. And you can make the decision that it stops now and start putting you first above all else. So this may have created some triggering. I apologize for that if this is a sensitive subject, but I really feel strongly that women need to be empowered in mind, body, emotions, and spirit. And this is the body aspect of the boundaries that I teach in my Relationship Clarity program and inside of the Self-Sourced Woman Collective, where you get the program and mentorship. And I go in depth into the boundaries. And this is part of physical boundaries and sexual boundaries, right? There's physical and intimate boundaries that you actually have a right to. And if you are not feeling like you can have those boundaries and provide that space for yourself in a way that feels correct and right for you, then you are not in a safe space. You're not in a safe relationship if you're not able to express yourself and express how you're feeling and express maybe different needs that you have in order to engage in a whole, from a place of wholeness with your partner in this way. So I hope this has given you some clarity, maybe in this area that you haven't been able to put your finger on. And if you'd like support, then come reach out to me over on Instagram and we can chat about getting into the Self-Sourced Collective, where you can start taking back your power in your relationship. And the other thing I have for you is my upcoming Own Your Feminine Power video series that is going to be in your relationships with men. If you have a history of ending up with the same types of men, or you have a history of not being able to leave a relationship where you cannot express yourself freely, you don't feel emotionally liberated in the relationship, where you're not able to fully be yourself, and this is showing up in your intimate life. So we're going to go into that in the collective this month. Actually, the whole focus is on boundaries, and that's what we're focusing on. So if you'd like to be part of that, then definitely reach out to me over at Awakening Women Official on Instagram. All right, take good care.